Do it. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
5,
Okay,
4,
what's this whole big
3,
announcement coming soon?
2.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3,
Welcome
2.
back to the Big Announcement Coming Soon podcast. Here with David this week. It has been a wonderful week in crypto. David, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, pretty wonderful. Yes, doing good, doing good.
So yeah, if anybody was holding this week, you're up. If you were trading, hopefully you weren't all those shorts being liquidated. And we got a lot to say, a lot of thoughts, no financial advice. There's no way that we know how to play this market better than y'all watching this, so you got to figure it out for yourself. But yeah, it seems like going short right now has been rough on those folks. You know, things are exciting.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I never go short anyway, so.
Yep. Never done it, not sure exactly how, and that's totally fine with me.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see.
Is evil.
Inflows. Okay, I'm going through my notes. We talked 2 weeks ago, and David, you're managing an economy fund, and you do some trading. And you talked about, you know, when it went down, that invalidated your approach. You kept to your plan. You moved back in. So one thing I found, Monday was ripping. So T2 is the inflows for the Bitcoin ETF, which means, you know, if you settle on a Thursday, Friday, that's really settling Monday or Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that.
So it seems like the new thing is, like, if it's exciting towards the end of the previous week, Monday, Tuesday's already going to be big. I might be off on some of those timelines, but it seems to be like coming behind us almost, as, you know, inflows keep chasing the narrative rather than pushing it.
Yeah, totally, for sure. It's like, watching boomers FOMO is kind of hilarious. It's, yeah, it's basically, it's like they keep just buying on Bitcoin as it goes higher, and there's not enough Bitcoin out there. I was doing, like poking around, and Bitcoin's well defined by being what's called a Veblen good. And Veblen goods are like things that increase with price. As they increase in price, people want them more. So like luxury watches, you know, like it's like, oh, this watch is becoming more expensive, and therefore it will become more expensive in the future. Yes, but also it's holding its value gives you value, makes you feel like you're part of the thing, like you've done the smart thing, so to speak. And so as the price so it's gonna be interesting, because like as the price starts to go higher into a parabolic move, which it seems to be, that's FOMO, just chasing like lack of supply for these limited edition coins that have, so it's pretty crazy. So it's kind of like what's happening at the moment. Market opens, people just keep buying Bitcoin.
I mean, it's years of pent-up demand for the certain institutions who didn't do the MicroStrategy accounting and hold on books, or people who weren't going to download Coinbase and wanted to talk to their financial advisor. They don't really touch that pool of money. It's their 401k or something, and it's managed for them. This is really the first time the door opened, so it's just starting to flood in, and I feel like some people might have, you know, last cycle FOMO still built up of, I couldn't get Bitcoin before, it keeps going up. You know, the guy called me, my advisor called me, and now I have some. I have access.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting because we're also starting to hit that pivot point where essentially once Bitcoin hits, almost there now, it's at 69, breaks the all-time high, and then all the news are like start picking it up. And basically what people then do, if you kind of remember when everybody jumps into Bitcoin or crypto, you jump in, and it should be a theory for it. I don't know. But either way, you jump in, you say, okay, Bitcoin is really high already. I probably missed it. I want more gains. And what am I going to buy next? And so like that's not who's buying the market right now. The institutions are buying Bitcoin. You see a lot of tweets where people are like, the ETF Bitcoin money can't flow to alts because it's just flowing straight into Bitcoin and trapped there with ETF. And like, yeah, that's true from a kind of like, it's not an avenue into alts, But when you have one primary market and all of the primary resource just starts getting sucked up, the people who hold it over here also hold alts, and suddenly this is increased in value so much. They're like, oh crap, what do I do now? I'll just pivot over and buy some ETH and buy some Sol and whatever. That's one of the people who are increasing these prices. But the other people are like people who come to the market, have never bought Bitcoin, and then what do they go for? And they go for, okay, I guess if you're your average financial thinking man, you probably go for Ethereum because it's next in line for ETF, second biggest coin, etc. and so forth. And if you're finding out from your brother or your college friend or whatever, you're buying Solana right now. And so these kind of coins are starting to take off. But yeah, like from my trading position, like I was trying to be in alts for a while until Bitcoin really just started to break this channel upwards. It was supposed to kind of stop at 60, but then it kept breaking higher. And so if it's going to run away, the calculus is that you might be in alts and they might go higher. If Bitcoin is not definitely, but like most likely going higher, it's a relatively sure thing. You got to bet on the sure thing. And also, what nobody's really thinking about is when Bitcoin will then correct, it will just wipe a lot of those alts back down lower. Kind of like what happened when it dipped yesterday to 58 for a hot minute and then came back up. Alts just like corrected down below where they started the day, even though they had gone higher. And so I'm still not convinced you're not seeing kind of like this alt rinse going on. And while some are pushing higher, and it hurts not to be in them, if you take them in aggregate, Bitcoin is still the sure
Bitcoin dominance is rising, you're saying?
Yeah, or at least staying the same, exactly. But yeah, I think it's rising at the moment. Both Bitcoin and Bitcoin dominance are rising. And I mean, yeah, it is actually, because if you compare it to ETH is dipping down from 0.06 to 0.055.
Well, and like you said, I can't remember if it was Porter or Loomdart, somebody who's been around a while, crypto Twitter, was tweeting, we had a week of AI, a week of DeFi, a week of meme coins, and yeah, it's people who've, been around, held Bitcoin from 20 to 60, are starting to play into alts, but really a week of each of those feels more like you said, that small pool that already trades between Bitcoin and alts is here. That Bitcoin only pool, it affects the small one, it grows it, but that big one is not playing AI, DeFi, meme coins. But yeah, like once you've bought in an ETF, why not download the Coinbase app and start going through and clicking on the next hot thing?
Yeah, and it's really hard actually, because like if you chart in USD, you'd be watching this and saying, "What are you talking about? Sol just broke out." Like Fed just broke out. All these other coins are like, the charts look really great on a USD perspective. Like that's why it was hard not to be in them. But when you look at them from a BTC perspective, if you chart them against BTC, it's almost like, well, it's a very different story on some of them. Like it kind of goes from like this to this, and then essentially being long those coins, you're making money, you're up in USD, but you're not making as much as you would be by being in BTC, as well as you're taking risk. And so it's a hard time in the market where you're like having to switch your mindset to being like charting against BTC rather than charting against USD. And then almost at the point where Ethereum and Bitcoin reach kind of an extreme, then you switch to Ethereum. And I can't chart in Ethereum. I'm not smart enough, but yeah, well, not so smart. It's just too much trying to like chart in 3 different systems.
But you're saying most importantly, the base system is Bitcoin, because if you're here, you're in crypto. That's the number one easy place to be. If you're taking risks into alts, you better be doing better than just being in Bitcoin, because you're not in USD either way, so it doesn't matter what that chart says.
Yeah, exactly. And on top of that, you have to play the current scenario on top of that. Say, okay, there's like all these huge institutions over here, just like with this like large like hose of money that's just being like hosed only into Bitcoin. Do you bet on this, or do you bet on probably these will go up too, and I'm pretty sure they will, but like what if they go up in like next month, and in the meantime Bitcoin's at 100K and like I don't know, Adam's still at $10.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a meme. Adam's always at $10. then you have a lot more value in BTC than you would have in these alts. And so it's just starting to the interesting, delicate time.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's almost like you want to try and ish buy the bottom on the Bitcoin chart. You want to try and ish buy the bottom on the alts chart, I guess. But you do it by ETH BTC ratio bottoming and starting to show its strength coming back up. Otherwise, take the free money.
Well,
because also if it goes down, like if Bitcoin then fails to go up and then crashes hard, it will crash less hard than everything else. So it's a double safety situation.
Yeah, and this is Fidelity's now saying 1 to 3% should be in Bitcoin. They haven't finished pumping money in, so Suzu, everybody's old favorite supercycle fan, right? The part of the supercycle was predicated on the institutions being here, and laws had started changing. Swiss banks had started coming in, but it wasn't, the flood of money from the ETF wasn't here, even though laws were changing, and his supercycle never came true. Well, it isn't the same this time. I know we always say, this time isn't different, blah, 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 but with money coming in, being locked in ETFs, and potentially not flowing across, so it affects potential alt season patterns, but really for the flood of money coming in and being parked, this, can we say super cycle?
Yeah, I mean, it depends how you define super cycle. Like, I think there's the correct definition of what it is, which is like coins going up from here to like way up there over a short-ish period of time, being like 20 years. If you take 20 years, yeah, we're in a super cycle for sure. Like Bitcoin is and crypto is like essentially being born. But the way Suzu, I think, defines it is just up only with no down.
Right.
And I don't believe in that at all. Like, why? It doesn't make any sense. It's kind of like saying suddenly gravity will cease to exist. Like gold did this. Like it was illegal to hold gold, then it was legal. Did gold just forever go up? No. Like people will buy too much of it, and then there'll be no one left to buy, and then it'll crash hard, just like every other. It's like, I don't know, like, is Nvidia in a super cycle? Will it ever? Of course, it'll come down.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. I don't know. It just
bigger bubble, not super cycle.
Yeah, the left translated cycle is the possibility where, like, essentially, usually we go through this year and experience, like, gains up to like the all-time high in November, and then break it, and then go for a run for 6 months. In 2025, that seems to be happening like right now, which is great if you're short-termist, because if you have a 4-year cycle and essentially it left translate, you're going to have 4 years either way, right? And so if it kind of goes like this, and then 1 year down of bear, then you start going back up again. Left translated cycle, when it's happening in year 2, it's like this, and then you're going to have 2 years of down, and then 2 more years of up. So it's going to be like a 4-year bear starting in 2025. So essentially it's just quick cycle starting now, going through December, and then run.
So by December, the institutions who want to be in are in. Everybody has finished FOMOing. The price is so high that people are just, they're saying no. It seems crazy. And the price is so high that people are trying to sell at any price to get out, because at some point you need to, pay rent in dollars.
Yeah, totally. And then just sprinkle some random stuff in there that always happens at the end of the cycle. Like, I don't know, an exchange goes bust, or Tether, or something, or like somebody turns out that Bitcoin's being mined by like North Korea, and like, how do you know which are the clean Bitcoins and the not ones? And everyone gets upset. And who knows, right? Like, there's lots of existential threats. Like, what if Satoshi came back, or somebody like used AI to find out who Satoshi was, and actually it's like this like criminal gangster who like is from the Sinaloa cartel. So many existential threats to come. Best to diversify against super cycles.
So the last sign of the cycle, Coinbase app has rose to 300th, and this is a couple days ago. It's probably past that.
175.
Is it 175 now? So it's rising fast. And this is downloads of the app,
because they had so many people trying to get into it.
Yep. Yeah, so when Coinbase crashes, this is an old yay from back in the day of so many people want to get in. Um, I almost feel like you could follow the Bitcoin price, or you could wait till Coinbase app hits number one and exit the peak there, because that's a real clear sign of what people are doing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's one of the signs for sure. I wouldn't use it as your only signal because who knows, right? Like people might just start using Coinbase as like a regular banking app and it just stays up there for forever for other reasons. But
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think definitely like that's when you see like retail FOMO coming in, people buying, thinking it's going to a million, all that stuff. Yeah, definitely helpful to like track like because you also look at Google Trends and people aren't, you know,
Hmm.
really coming back yet. Media hasn't like okayed it yet. They're going to start though, pretty hardcore.
Okay, I love it. We're about to break all-time highs, and we are about to start, in your words. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's gonna
Well,
be a
that's the
fun
thing. Like, if
party.
we break all-time highs, it's kind of all bets are off. That's what price discovery means, right? Everybody
Right.
who has bought Bitcoin and has held it or holds it is in profit. So there's nobody left to like, oh, I better sell to take profits in case whatever. Um, Everybody's holding it because they think it's going higher, and more people are buying it, and there's not enough supply.
Hmm.
So it's not like you can make more of like, okay, let's release the next, NFT collection to soak up some of that excess supply or whatever. It's the coin, so it can get crazy, and yeah, it's one of the funny things because it's like Bitcoin compared to alts. Everyone like is I guess like born into alts, so you do occasionally see alts go up and like people talk about it, but like there was a good tweet by DeFi Llama the other day. It was like, it's become apparent some of you have never experienced a God candle before.
Hmm.
But yeah, God candles are going to start happening, man. Like you get 10, 20K candles on a day, which is nuts because that was what it cost like only a year and a bit ago. And we all,
Exactly.
yeah, all
Exactly.
the blood. So yeah, it's pretty exciting times. We see how it goes. But yeah, it's definitely I don't know. It's both good and bad because if we just go super hype bubble crazy cycle now, it's going to live up to everybody's expectations, right? It'll go up to like I don't know, who knows, 400K, and then come back down for the next 3 years and not come back up to 500K again for like 4 or 5 years. It'll be people will be like writing books about how it was a tulip mania and et cetera and so forth. And
Hmm.
no,
Again, they
yeah.
write those books every 4 years.
Yeah, totally. So there's profit to be made in all sorts of sectors coming from crypto.
Sweet. Well, I want to get back to watching charts, just sitting, staring, not trading, but exciting. What are you doing today?
Totally. Yeah, basically the same thing. It's just kind of sometimes fun to sit back and watch as the boomers ape Bitcoin and it goes upwards, which is great. And it's comfy to be because even if it goes down, you're still like, okay, look at all these great things that are happening around Bitcoin. It's a pretty comfy
Hmm.
place to be in. So it's good to yeah. That's one of the things that kind of always do is like you step back and be like, yeah, this is great. Don't be like, oh, and I missed this trade or missed that trade or I could have made this.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, at the same time, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. When all the bags are up, you don't have to worry about which one was up 8% or 2%.
Exactly. Exactly.
Sweet. I will see you back here in 2 weeks, possibly at new all-time highs.
Yeah, potentially so. It'd be crazy. We see.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Big announcement
5,
coming
4,
soon podcast.